You are listening to the Postcast presented by the Locked On Senators podcast following a disheartening loss. But they battled hard. The Senators came back and tied it late, but fall 3-2 in overtime to the Boston Bruins. Hey, they got 2 goals. That's twice as many as you could say they had last time these two teams met last week. But we've got a ton to break down. I'm Ross Levitan. With me, as always, Brandon Pillar, and recurring guest on the Postcast, it's Levitan Martian, decked out in the Gong Show gear. Absolute beauty. If you've been following along there, Pilsy, we'll start with you. Your initial reaction following this Saturday night loss.
I thought the Sens did a good job of staying in this game. I thought there were some ebbs and flows to this game. The first period seemed like the Sens had the momentum. Then they lost it a bit. Then they got it back. And then classic Ross, the Bruins were able to score at the end of the second period to totally deflate the Sens. And then they were able to get some momentum, and Holden ties it up here. So I thought it was a good back and forth game. They didn't let the Bruins take over, and I think you got to be very blessed that Marchand isn't in this game, because I think if he's in this game, it's a difference maker for sure.
Our very own Joe Bell, we appreciate recurring listener of the Postcast, mentioning that our best finishers, being the Senators, were in the press box eating popcorn as well. I'm sure Drake and Brad Marchand, although Marchand probably didn't travel with the team, would have had a little hello from their time in Nova Scotia training in the offseason. But I think you maybe don't even call that one a wash. I was impressed. And I mean, Marchand's such a good player, but I didn't realize, and the stat came up, Marchand, he's 4th in the league in goal scoring in the last 5 years combined. That is ridiculous company to keep.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not the first thing you think of when you think of Brad Marchand is his goal scoring, I guess, because he's got all these other antics always going on and off the ice. And, he's sticking goalies in the face and punching them in the back of the head. So it kind of, I guess, it's easy to overlook the goal scoring ability of a guy like that. But he is really an incredible talent. And I know for a fact if he was an Ottawa Senator, he'd be one of my favorite players for sure.
Oh, yeah. We'll touch on a guy who's maybe a clone of Brad Marchand and Nazem Kadri. We'll touch on Ridley Gregg at the end of tonight's Postcast. But we have a 3-2 overtime loss to discuss. And the big story here was how they were able to battle back in the third period, down a goal, and it's Nick Holden. No, it's not the power play just before that. No, it's not one of the top 2 lines getting it done. It's offensive juggernaut now, Nick Holden. Like, what more can you say about that play, Pilsy?
He's just, ever since he signed that extension, boys? Like, he's been on fire offensively, getting apples everywhere, scoring big goals. And I think really, you guys know I love to do this, but I'm going to credit Connor Brown mostly on this goal, because that was a great job of luring the play into the corner. And if you're the Bruins, you're like, okay, we got to watch all the forwards here. This is their top line. Nick Holden back there, don't worry about him. Not like he's going to score. Well, look out. If Connor Brown hits him with the perfect pass, he glides in there, gets a nice angle, traffic in front, nice wrister, and he beats Swayman to tie things up. So Nick Holden has been absolutely crucial for the boys lately.
And the thing with Nick Holden is that once upon a time, he was an offensive defenseman, a guy who's hit 10 goals twice in his career high of 34 points. Like, that's decent numbers for an offensive defenseman, Martian. And now he's settled into a defensive role. But what an awesome way. And that was a goal scorer's goal. What a wrist shot coming down Main Street.
He has this kind of deceptive and heavy wrist shot that's super accurate, and he's been using it to his advantage lately. So, I mean, yeah, definitely. You can see the offensive instincts are there. He puts the puck in the right spot almost every time he gets the chance. So, good for him.
Earned a point with that one. However, the best player, I think it's pretty clear to say, the best player playing in tonight's game gets the overtime winner, David Pastrnak, with about 2 minutes left in overtime. And it wasn't from a scoring area. Pilsy, is this one that you think Forsberg would like to have back?
I don't know. Anytime it's David Pastrnak in OT with a time and space like that, he's probably going to beat you from anywhere on the ice. So, yeah, obviously you'd want it back here for Forsberg, but that's not the goal I'm most disappointed in from Forsberg tonight. Let's just say that.
Yeah, it was a little less egregious than the missed jump or pounce on the puck. That was just
yeah,
bad timing. I mean, what else do you say about that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few guys on that play who probably would have liked to have that play back. I guess I think Josh Brown took a swing at it with his glove, and it kind of ticked off his glove there, and then it went by Forsberg. He jumped at it, he missed as well, and then Chris Tierney's left there with his dick in his hand, standing in front of the net, and he's not covering the guy who's open, so it obviously leads to a goal. So it's pretty tough. It's a pretty tough one for all three guys on that play, I think.
Still, you're going up against a Boston Bruins team. Yeah, they're without Marchand, but Ottawa's had trouble with them. I feel like over the years, it's never been an easy game, especially in Boston, but in Ottawa as well. So I'm glad they showed the resiliency in the third period, because in the second, this one was not looking good. They clearly did not have the momentum in this game, and Forsberg stood tall, made a couple good saves. I mean, the deflation kind of takes over from that with less than 2 minutes left in the period. Those momentum goals, Pilsy, that we always talk about on Locked On Senators. And that was really the feeling that I had going to third. But credit to this team, they regrouped and bounced back. And I thought they played a way better third period than maybe I'd have expected. I don't know if that's me underselling what this team can do. A team that Martian pointed out only had one win when trailing heading into the third period all season, but they made it as competitive as a game as possible. There's one power play I want to hit on, and then we'll go a little chronologically through this game. But that one, right before they scored the goal, like they had a few chances. Ennis hits the post, man. That was as close to a goal as you can get. But twice the puck came up to the top of the umbrella, and we credit Brannstrom all the time for moving the puck around. Those were two times where you got to get shots on goal. Like, I don't know why he went back to Ennis on the far side. He just made Swayman have time to go back and go get it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not too sure what to say even about that. I think it was a good power play. They were moving the puck around nicely, but yeah, that was maybe just a quick little mental error, trying to get a little too cute, trying to make a play that maybe wasn't there, or probably wasn't the right play. Just get it on net while that chaos is happening. I think you probably end up with a better result possibly there.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like Brandy, although he's good at moving the puck up the ice and he's got a good first pass, I feel like he struggles getting the puck on net. Like we talked about it a couple episodes ago, Ross. I think at the time we recorded that, the stat was he had only had 24 shots all season long. Now, he hasn't played a full amount of games, but still, for a guy that's known as an offensive defenseman, it's seemingly that his defense is becoming a better part of his game than his offense lately, even though he's had time on the power play. And while we're talking about Erik Brannstrom, one thing I will give him stick taps for is how about 27 minutes on ice tonight? Like, that is absolutely wild. Ross, you're muted there, so I'll let you jump in here.
I'm typing out a tweet right now. That's a career high in ice time for Erik.
It's got to be.
Yeah, he's really getting those Shabbat minutes, eh? Do you think
Do
you think he's kind of compensating a little bit, Pilsy? Like you were just talking about how his offensive game is kind of taking a bit of a downturn here. Do you think it's because he's realizing that he probably needs to play a harder defensive game to like stay in the lineup all the time?
Yeah, I would definitely say that's a thing. And I would say it's also a thing because to be a good offensive defenseman, you need to take chances defensively. You know what I'm saying? So like now that he knows he needs to work on his defense, he can't be pushing so much and cheating so much offensively because he's so focused on the defensive side of the game, and that's going to slow down his points. But I would like to see him, like, he could be evasive on the blue line, and he can sneak past guys and get open lanes to shoot that puck on net. I'd like to see a little bit more of that. And on the power play, it seemed like the last couple of games, the boys have been trusting him with a one-timer, and he's got a good slap shot. So hopefully he can find a little more time and space to get that puck on net. But I do want to commend him for his defensive play. I feel like there's been, other than the Blues game where he got lit up by the hottest line all game, he has been much better in his own end.
Almost 3 minutes clear of a career high, Pilsy. This isn't like he beat it by 10 seconds. 3 minutes clear of his career high, which was formerly 24 minutes and 49 seconds in Winnipeg, where I'm talking to you from. That was on May 8th of last year. But I thought he was decent tonight. Again, he moves pucks out of his own zone. That's not the issue with his game. And I agree with Sugar Ray Emery, who's writing in the comments, and we appreciate everyone who jumps in on the Postcast, available each and every Ottawa Senators game. We recap here, and then if you miss any of it, you can always go back and listen wherever you download your podcast. You can also get Locked On Senators Monday through Friday, free and available to you wherever you'd like. This is an Ottawa Senators team that, another overtime loss. The playoffs are not a realistic thing, but what we do like to see is the storylines that evolve throughout. And Erik Brannstrom's next contract is certainly one of those. Without getting into the nitty gritty, I feel like the details of contract predictions, all that's great for the actual podcast. But I want to throw this one to you, Martian. You first, and then I want Pilsy's take on it as well. Which contract are you most intrigued by? Not which is going to be the biggest, but between Brannstrom, Norris, and Formenton, the 3 RFAs. I don't know which one I'm picking, so I'm throwing the buck to you, and then I'll come back to me. But if we had to draft 1, 2, 3, and Martian, the guest, gets you there on the first one, Brannstrom, Norris, or Formenton?
It's a really good question, and I think I'm gonna have to go with Alex Formenton because he's kind of outperforming what you would expect him to do. I would say that Norris, even though he's been injured, he's kind of established himself as a massive goal scoring threat. I think he's gonna get paid. Brannstrom, he's probably that's a little bit easier to figure out. I think too. Is he's just starting to get established in the league. Where I think Formenton has kind of really proven himself as a NHL player for sure, and a quite good one as well, I would say. So I don't know if they expected him to demand probably what he's going to end up demanding here in this next negotiation. But I would say that's definitely the one I'm the most intrigued by because I have no clue where to put that at.
Yeah, that's fair. Ross, you want to take the next one or you're passing off to me? Obviously Norris is going to be the big one, right? That's why your question really matters here. So I think Norris they're going to end up doing a long-term deal. He's going to be like, imagine if you get Shabbat, Brady, and Norris all locked up long-term. That solves a lot of your problems. So I think where the bridge deals are going to come is Brannstrom's not going to want to sign long-term. Like you said, he's just scratching the surface. So he's not going to want to lock in at this value. Formenton, I think may go 3 or 4 years, but wouldn't be much more than that. And then Norris, I'm thinking 6, 7, like a long-term deal for sure. So yeah, I would probably agree with you there, Marshall. Probably Formenton because they really haven't made a push to replace a top 6 forward like they said they were going to with Dadonov. They've more been like, all right, guys, open tryouts. Who's going to take this spot? And Formenton has really shown that he's a guy that can be a top 6 forward.
We asked the question on our YouTube page right now, and the community is answering Alex Formenton. 50% of the votes so far, 42% for Josh Norris. So, hey, egg on my face. The whole reason we brought this up was Eric Brannstrom's next contract. A big 7% voting him the most intriguing of those contracts. But it will be, I think, interesting for all of them. You know what? We don't have to worry about this summer, but it will certainly become a conversation beyond that, is Tim Stutzle. We're going to get to our Sen Central standouts in this game, but what better way to lead into it than to discuss Tim Stutzle in his 100th NHL game. Wow, don't they grow up so fast? It feels like only yesterday Tim Stutzle was making his NHL debut on his birthday against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and then the next night scoring that goal from the heavens right past Jack Campbell. But tonight in his 100th game, he marks it with a goal as well. And this was highlight reel stuff. We're seeing more and more of that. And I don't even think that was the most impressive part of his game for me. And I'll let you guys touch on the goal too. But for me, his shift in overtime was electric. Hounding pucks, making plays extend longer in the offensive zone. I think if that's Batherson out there instead of Brady, just in terms of like where they are positioned on the ice and how quick Timmy moves, I think this one might have been over on the first shift in OT.
Yeah, and that goal was sweet. Top titty Timmy, we're gonna have to start calling him because he's going top shelf all the time here all of a sudden now. But yeah, that shift in overtime, completely agree. He was fantastic. He was, he had the puck on his stick his entire shift, it felt like too. So really good shift out of him. And his play is evolving too, right? When you think about with Norris being out and Batherson being out and the way the lines are being juggled and the matchups that he's having to take on every single night, I think they might be sheltering him just a little bit, but for the most part, he's getting like the heavy duty matchups, especially on the road. So he's really been playing well. And I think we can only expect that to continue and get even better as we go on here, because I think as guys start coming back from injury too, he's going to be getting a lot more, probably more favorable matchups, I'd say.
Absolutely. And hey, we've been following this trend, or at least I have. Not a bad night in the faceoff dot for Timmy either. 5 for 9, good for 56%. So to have a dominant game like that, score a goal in your 100th, and be much more consistent in the faceoff dot, what more can you ask for from Timmy? So definitely he was a solid player here. And Ross, is that your Sen Central standout then, Ross? Is that how we're going around here?
Yeah, so I'll just kind of put a bow on it by saying, and yes, you mentioned his face-off percentage. I pulled up who they were against. He went 1 for 2 against Patrice Bergeron.
That's
It's a
pretty
lot
good.
better than what everyone else
50%.
Yeah.
can say, as Bergeron was 60% in the game. So yeah, maybe not the biggest sample size as Bergeron and Nick Paul went head-to-head the most in the face-off circle tonight. But Tim Stutzle went 3 for 6 against Jack Studnicka and then beat Curtis Lazar in his only matchup against him. So 5 for 9 for Tim Stutzle in the faceoff dot. The only Senator who was better than him, who had more than one draw, was Dylan Gambrell, who went 5 for 8 for 63% in the faceoff circle tonight. So I was impressed with Timmy in the dot. I think that his game left a lot to be desired on Thursday night against St. Louis. I think that was a real quiet one of those games, and you don't see it too often, where you just didn't notice him. I just felt like it was zeros across the board. So you knew in his 100th game he had to come out and do something, and he certainly did. This guy's absolutely electric. To go back to what I said before we even drafted him in Ottawa, I said this is the guy who brings fans to the arena. And as I throw to you guys, wasn't it nice to see a few more bodies in the crowd? And that's only going to get better and better as we finish off this season.
Yeah, it was really nice to be able to see. I mean, for a play to happen where something exciting, semi-exciting happens, and you can actually hear the real crowd react to it, and not the fake faux crowd that they had going there. It was definitely nice to see, and I can't wait to get back in there myself. I'm thinking about maybe going tomorrow, but it's still up in the air. I'm definitely going boots on the ground though to the 67s. I think.
Hell yeah! And is that an afternoon game?
Yeah, 2 p.m. So I should make it home in time to catch the rest of the Sens game too, because they start.
What a
5,
day for you, Martian!
It'll be a good day, yeah.
Yeah, once we get a hold on scheduling a little bit deeper on, I think early to mid-April will be the best time for us to get back to Ottawa for a game. We hope to see everyone there. Such an awesome time the three of us had at the home opener this year. We're going to double down on that big time as we get in to April. We'll touch on Tyler Boucher. We'll touch on Ridley Gregg, but I want these boys to give their Sens Central standouts first. Pilsy, go ahead.
Well, we already talked about it a bunch, so I'll just go quickly here. But for Eric Brannstrom to play over 27 minutes, Ross, you emphasized it, 3 minutes more than his previous career high. I'm not going to go ahead and say he had an amazing game, to be honest. I can't even think of too much that he did in this game, but just the mere fact that he was out there for 27 and a half minutes up against one of the best teams in the division is pretty impressive, even without Marchand out there. So I got to give him credit for that.
Nice. And Pilsy, I mean, nobody left me any too many options here, because I don't feel like there's that many guys, again, who really stood out. But I can pick one, and that is Nick Holden. For me, I thought, to have another goal, which is always nice to see. And at the time that it came was really good to tie the game with less than 5 minutes left, I believe. So he also played, a solid 20 minutes. He had 3 shots on goal, 2 hits. So Nick Holden is his steady Eddie self. He was, doing his thing back there, and he's just such a positive energy. You can tell, like, they showed shots of him on the bench. He's always chatting with guys. So Nick Holden's my standout tonight.
I loved Austin Watson standing up for his teammate. That was a huge
Parker Kelly,
Parker Kelly, and both them got there. So I'm going to give just a shout out, maybe not a full standout, but him. I'll give Nick Paul one, going head to head against Patrice Bergeron. Never an easy matchup. Nick Paul with 5 shots on goal, playing 21 minutes and 10 seconds. And guys, like, I don't think we really appreciated it enough when he was out, but Connor Brown is such an integral piece of this team going forward. What an absolute legend of a player he was. I thought the pass he made on the on the Nick Holden goal. That's just great vision, finding the streaking defenseman coming down the wing. So I just absolutely loved what I saw from Connor Brown tonight, and he deserves a little bit of a shout out here. Physical game tonight, boys? With
really physical.
McAvoy set the tone early. Like, that's a clean hit in my opinion.
It's a great hit.
Man, he got all of them.
Yeah.
So people were saying on Twitter that was Andy Sutton-esque.
Oh yeah, there was 2 or 3 hits that were just absolute boomers. Like that one by McAvoy. The Clifton one was a big one on Parker Kelly, and then who from the Sens caught someone in the corner there?
I mean, Brady had a good reverse hit that you clipped.
Sanford's just another big hit
on Mike Riley.
And on Mike Riley. Yes, I should remember. I clipped it. What am I talking about? But they were like 3 or 4 feet from the boards, which is always a dangerous area. But when you toss a guy into the corner like that, it's just awesome. So that was a big hit. And then the reverse hit by Brady too, I thought was pretty cool. I clipped that one as well. You don't see those all the time. I like those reverse hits when the guy's coming in not expecting it, and you stop them.
No power plays for the Boston Bruins tonight. The Sens did take a few penalties, but they were all offsetting penalties. So
Brannstrom stayed out of the box too. Add that in there.
Good stuff. Hey, 2 points for Mike Riley tonight against the Ottawa Senators, formerly of. And the reason why Ottawa was able to get a point in this one, how about Curtis Lazar missing not once but twice in the final 10 seconds? He had a rough
game. Oh my God, Curtis Lazar. Yeah, that was tough.
More like Curtis Luzar, am I right?
Oh, but that would have hit a little harder if the Sens had won in overtime. You might have run into that brick wall right next to you with that take, Martian, with the Senators falling 3-2 in overtime. The best part is, in less than 24 hours, they'll get to do it again. Tomorrow, we'll be back on the Postcast after the game. And stay tuned. We're going to do a little something with Locked On Rangers host John Chick. He's one of the biggest beauties on the Locked On Network. So we're excited to chat with him from Manhattan. So we'll get into the Rangers land. Couple quick notes. We do have to go. Belleville Sens, they quadrupled the amount of points you thought they were going to get all weekend, Pills.
Hey, I didn't say thought. I said hoped. I hoped they would get at least 1 point. But also, Ross, like, you got to look at I wasn't able to watch the Belleville game today, but the Marlies dominated in shots. Like, it was a
Mando in goal.
It was a Mando miracle that they were able to win that one. I just came up with that right now.
I like
and if it's a Mando miracle, it's Sokolov's savior that comes in to
a shark tail, buddy.
Yeah, because back-to-back games with the game winner up against your biggest division rival.
Yeah.
Gotta love it.
He's got 10 goals and 16 points in his last 16 games, and that's a great transition into the rest of the 2020 draft class because Ridley Gregg, ever since I saw him, I don't know if I gave him a little something in that game where he didn't have any points, 4 penalty minutes.
He saw you in the crowd and got nervous, Ross.
He saw my Sens too, and he's like, God, I got to get it together. He's got 13 points on a 6-game point streak. He's got 50 points on the year. He is an absolute beauty, and he's still just wrecking guys left, right, and center. So we got to give Ridley Gregg a shout-out. Martian, you're going to see Tyler Boucher tomorrow, hopefully. He hasn't been announced as suspended yet, but that
I haven't seen anything yet. So
what was your thoughts on that hit, man? Oh, my God.
It was very high and very hard, so I'll be surprised if he doesn't get something. But if he doesn't get suspended, I'm going. But if he does, I'm not going to go unless he's playing. So
yeah, well, you got some people in the crowd. I don't know if you're going to be doing merch giveaways at the 67s game, but people are firing up right now. And Dustin's mentioned Belleville's housing market, so that I know what you're talking about, Dustin. That means we got to mention that Michael Del Zotto scored another goal. This guy is just lighting the AHL on absolute fire. So we'll touch on that a little bit more tomorrow and on Monday's Locked On Senators. But tonight, it was a 3-2 overtime loss for the Ottawa Senators against the Boston Bruins. But that 1 point keeps them in 6th place in the Atlantic Division. And they have a chance against a real good team tomorrow in the New York Rangers. And we'll be back to break that down in the postcast. We'll get a boots on the ground report from Martian about Tyler Boucher. Let's get some Go Sens Go in the chat, though, on the way out, because Brandon Pillar and Laleem's Martian, myself, we're here on a Saturday night, so why not? And 21.5 mentions, sorry you're late, boys. Hey, doesn't matter if you're late. The beauty is that you jump on the postcast. And 21.5, you know what else is great? You can listen to the postcast after it's done in its entirety on YouTube and wherever you get your Locked On Senators podcast. We got a whole lot more to get to, and I love seeing the Go Sens Go at the end. I can't wait to be high fives and hugs, just like Pierre Dorion after a big trade when we get back to the CTC. We've got Rosie on all the way in Korea, and Rosie, we do have to give you a shout out as well. Bringing the Sens doll and placing it in different spots all over Korea. Martian, you're seeing that on her new Twitter account, aren't you?
I've been seeing that. Yeah, that's really cool that she's bringing that around and getting the Sens logo
just
out
growing
there in
the
all
game.
Different places all around the world. Yeah, it's really nice.
I'm pulling up Sens fan _ Korea. Everyone go give Rosie a follow. Absolute beauty. A Sens Central citizen. We got to get back to that segment, Pilsy. We absolutely do. And yes, 21.5, you need a Built Bar. And I need to go have some cake. So that's all for tonight. 3-2 overtime loss to the Ottawa Senators. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us in the postcast. For Brandon Pillar and Laleems Martian, I'm Ross Levitan, and this has been a breakdown of a 3-2 loss. Yes, but there were lots of positives, including Tim Stutzle's goal in his 100th NHL game. We'll chat tomorrow. Have a great night.